What's going on, gym bros and gym girls? My name is James, and welcome to episode 5 of Gym Bro Talks, where we talk about fitness, nutrition, and lifestyle. Today, we got a special guest, Alex Solomin. He's very big, a professional and expert in weight loss, very big on Instagram. So welcome, Alex. How you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing great as well. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on this show today. So I want to kind of dive straight into the podcast here because weight loss is such an important topic that needs to kind of be talked about, because I think there's a lot of misinformation on the internet about weight loss, and a lot of fitness influencers that kind of clickbait you into the video and give you misinformation, and a lot of people really fall for it, right? And so it's really great having an expert here today helping us out. So if you don't mind telling the audience a little bit about your experience, your story, and what you're currently doing as well.
Yeah, so it's crazy how I'm even in this position today to be doing a podcast about weight loss. So my story started over a decade ago. So I was the worst person to even, or the last person to even think about that they would be doing this at any time, at any point in their life. So I was morbidly obese. I was 365 pounds at my heaviest, and I didn't work out. I didn't eat right. I used to punish myself with food, pizza, donut, just everything, right? I hated working out. I hated doing any kind of cardio. I was part of a high school football team, but as an excuse to kind of not go to class, so I was scared of the weight room. I was scared to even bench press. Like, I used to make up excuses why I can't participate in working out for that day. Like, I used to walk out because I felt like my heart was racing, because it was terrifying to me to lay on a bench press or a bench for a bench press and have everybody just look at me in disappointment how this giant guy, like, I'm 6'4", he can't even bench press 135 pounds for a couple of reps. I didn't want to face that fear, so I used to make up excuses why I had to leave. And I had one instance in someone I knew before. He used to work out and stuff like that, and he dragged me into the gym because he's like, "Oh man, you got to work out with me." He was in his phase in life when he was working out, so I was kind of forced to go to the gym my first time, and that was the first and last time I went to the gym in that period of my life. I hated it. I felt like I was out of place. I felt like I was being judged. I felt like everybody was looking at me. Who was this big guy? He doesn't fit in. He should leave. That was all in my head, right?
Right.
And then I didn't go to the gym for probably a year and a half or something like that, until I went to my doctor. And I hated going to the doctors because being in that kind of condition, it was never good news. It's always like something is wrong. Your blood work is terrible. You got to lose weight. You got to do this and that. So I just didn't go to the doctors. But one time I had to go to the doctor, and he said, if you have a high triglycerides, a fatty liver, high blood pressure, you're pre-diabetic, you got elevated blood sugar, all these things. And he said, I was maybe 20 at the time, and he said, if you don't change something immediately, you will die before you hit 30. Now, I don't know how true it was. Obviously I'm still here. I don't know if it would have came to be true. Maybe it wasn't, but that was like a kick in the ass that told me that you have to change something in order to experience life or whatever is there for you. So I didn't want to just die young, so I wanted to experience having a family, traveling to wherever there is to travel. I just didn't want to die young. So I started my personal weight loss journey by doing the extremes. I thought that in order to lose weight, you have to eat chicken and broccoli, the typical bodybuilding foods.
Right.
So I ended up eating too little calories, which made me have crazy episodes of severe under-eating followed by binge eating. So my food relationship was absolutely terrible. So a lot of times when I post on social media about how long it took me to go from my heaviest to my lowest, I say it took me
Mm-hmm.
about 4 years, maybe plus or minus a tiny bit, probably a bit over 4 years, between 4 and 5. I get a lot of people telling me
Mm-hmm.
that I did it sooner, or he did it sooner, or I lost
Mm-hmm.
200 pounds in 6 months. And I tell them
Mm-hmm.
that, first of all, it's amazing you lost that weight, but I'm not you.
Yeah.
Like, I've made so many mistakes in the beginning. I plateaued
Right.
for years. People come to me, they tell me, Alex, I've been plateaued for 6 months, for 4 months. What should I do? It's terrible. I'm like, listen, that's a drop in the bucket. Try being in a plateau for years and see how that feels.
Yeah.
And I was just spinning my wheels in place for years and years and years until I started to understand nutrition and what actually facilitates weight loss, fat loss, weight gain, muscle gain, all that kind of stuff. And I started to just become obsessed with learning about nutrition and what's better for you,
Mm-hmm.
not only from a weight loss point of view, but from psychological reasons. You know, what causes cravings? Why do people binge eat? Why do people that eat more tend to be more consistent? Like all of these things. And I started to just get on the right path. So I lost 135 pounds in about
Wow.
4 years or so. And
Mm-hmm.
there was a click or a shift in mindset when I first started to do things right. When I say right, I mean start to focus on calories. I started to focus on eating traditionally bad foods in moderation. And I stepped away from eating super clean or eating as little as possible. And once that shift
Mm-hmm.
was created, I told myself, I don't know if this will ever happen. I don't know if I'll even do this. It's probably a dream. It's probably a myth. But I hope one day I can show other people that they can do it
Mm.
too. And I completely kind of
Right.
forgot about it. It wasn't that, it wasn't something that I was striving forward, but it was something that I wanted to achieve at some point in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to lose weight the right way. Of course, I was going to the gym and stuff like that. I was eating as well as I could. And over some years, I started to train people in person, work out in the
Nice.
gym and stuff like that, help them with nutrition. And then I got different jobs here and there. And I saw, like, I never looked at myself I still don't, as an influencer. I think I don't know, it's not me. Like, I'm not the kind of person to flex in the camera
Mm.
or show off their body. Like, my body's not perfect. And that's why I never used to see myself as somebody that's like the people on social media and magazines and stuff like
Right.
that. So I just separated myself. It's not my mentality. I'm like a very introverted, you know.
Mm.
So, but I told myself, what's stopping? Like, I saw a lot of BS online, like a lot of
Yeah.
quick fixes, gimmicks, crazy workouts that will melt stubborn belly fat. And I'm looking at that stuff and
100%.
I'm like, this is such nonsense. Like, people are eating this up because it sounds like it may work, which is marketing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how about I
Mm-hmm.
just try to put myself out there a little bit and show people actually what's right. I know I'm not going to get that much attention because what I'm saying isn't what they want to hear, but what I'm saying
Yeah.
is what actually works. And the few people that do
Mm-hmm.
follow me actually see results, and they keep their results because it's real stuff. It's not crazy. I'm not going to sell you some stupid pill. Like, I tell you what
Yeah.
works because I tried what didn't work. And over time, like, personally, the first time that I ever pressed the button to record, so I use Facebook a lot, right? It's the same thing as
Mm.
anything else, but the first time I pressed the button to record on Facebook, to do a Facebook Live, it took me 3 hours to press that button. 3 hours,
Mm.
because I was so scared. Like, I was trembling,
Mm-hmm.
I blacked out, I forgot everything I was going to talk about, and after that, I just became smoother, and I started to do this more consistently. With Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, and stuff like that, it gave me a platform to speak the truth and help
Yeah.
people, and I effectively fulfilled my, I guess, dream or something from back in the day of showing as many people as I can that they can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing this, full time for the last. It was part time because this is a business, right? So I had to work
Yes.
on this over time, and it was difficult.
Yeah.
I had to work. I was working a regular job, 70, 80 hours per week. Then I had
Wow.
to work on this and try to make this work. And then I went into this fully, I think 2 years ago, like full time. I started to actually
Yeah.
devote my time to this. And, I feel amazing on the inside because I'm doing what I told myself that I would do at some point in the future.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I thank you so much for your story. That was very inspiring. And I think, it is so sad that people, they'll hear what they want to hear, and they'll try it, and then it doesn't work, and then their self-esteem, it stays low, their confidence stays low, and they're just not going to get there. So it's very inspiring to have, people like you who is actually helping people. And like when you said you went to the doctor told you you were not going to live past 30, and I personally couldn't imagine how that would feel when if I was told I couldn't live past 30. And so I think it's very important to prevent people from having to go to the doctors and hearing the same thing as you did. And so was that the turning point for you when you heard that, oh, I'm not going to live past 30? Is that when you were like, yeah, I'm going to turn my life around?
yeah, that was definitely the start.
That was a start.
I walked out of the office and I told myself, like, I don't know how I'm going to lose weight. I don't know what it takes. I just know that people that lose weight, they do tons of cardio and they eat very clean,
Mm-hmm.
chicken breast, broccoli, egg whites, whatever it is. So I went to the gym. I did hours and hours of cardio, sometimes twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't strength train. I didn't pick up a weight until probably a year
Mm-hmm.
afterwards. And I ate nothing but just typical clean food,
Right.
you know. And once I lost a decent amount of weight, I just didn't like the way that I looked. I wasn't fit. I wasn't muscular. I was just very, very skinny.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked not proportioned right.
Right.
So me being at my height, I should have some shape to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just was very, very skinny.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't like the way I look. And that's when I started to pick up some weights and actually explore strength training, building muscle,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff.
And building muscle, I think, is also very important in a way where it increases the amount of calories you burn on a daily basis as well, right? Because the more muscle you have, the more calories you're going to burn. But on top of that, when you lift weights, you actually burn more calories throughout the day as well with the process known as EPOC. And so would you recommend, strength training or weight training 3 to 4 times a week, or as little as 1 time a week? What would be like kind of the frequency
Yeah.
you'd go for?
Good question. So, as far as strength training, it's absolutely important. It's important to put on muscle to increase your metabolic rate. But at the same time, lifting weights may not be the right approach right now for a person because sometimes people have a psychological hurdle to even enter the gym. If somebody's extremely overweight, they may feel judged at the
Yeah.
gym because they see all these fitness models, they see people flexing in the gym,
100%.
they feel like, what am I doing here?
Mm.
I understand why they feel that way. I felt exactly the same way. So that may be a goal for the future
Yeah.
to work up to.
Right.
But as far as how many times a week they should be going, I would say if you have no routine in mind, if you have no schedule in mind, just make it a goal to enter the gym, because entering the gym and getting to the gym is oftentimes where the disconnect is. People don't do that. It's very difficult. So get into the gym, try out every machine that you want to try out.
Mm-hmm.
See what you like, see what you don't like. Do it again the next day. It's less about the specifics of the workouts, the exercises for somebody that's first starting out on their weight loss
Right.
journey. It's just about going there and feeling comfortable, feeling not judged by everybody that you think may be judging you. Try things out. Over time, you'll stick to the machines or the weights or the exercise you like to do, and you'll stop doing the ones that you don't like to do. It's important to feel kind of included and like you're part of the gym. And once you get into a consistency of getting to the gym, however many times that is for you, some people may go to the gym 3 times a week. You can get a routine for that. Maybe it's 6 times a week and just change things up. But that's like a bridge that should be crossed later.
Right.
For now, I think for somebody who's first starting out losing weight and just being included in the gym, it should be to just enjoy what you're doing.
100%.
You know,
100%. Even with diet, right? And I want to talk a little bit about the sustainability for dieting, because like you said, for yourself, it took almost 4 years, and I'm sure for a lot of people out there, I know personally for my clients, sustainability was one of the hardest things ever, because it's so hard to track your macros to the dot, or so hard to really just change up that diet really quickly and get into that healthy zone. I know one of the tips I usually would give to my clients is start slow, make small changes. You feel good about those changes, make it a habit, and then you make more small changes along the way. What would be some tips you would give in terms of sustainability for dieting?
yeah. So sustainability to me to me personally, it's more important than actually losing weight, because you can lose weight by so many different ways. But can that person actually keep the weight off? If they're doing it in a very unsustainable way, probably not. So sustainability should be done or created by not eliminating your favorite foods, because eliminations tend to breed cravings.
Right.
So if you have a favorite food, there will be a time when if you eliminate the favorite food, whatever that is for you, you will be presented that food in front of you. And if you have a very restricted or elimination type of mindset regarding that food, it will be in front of you. You will lose absolute control over that food, because you feel like either you're going to try it and just go downhill because you ruined everything. Maybe you're going to start starving yourself the next day, skipping meals. Maybe you're just going to keep eating whatever food you want to eat uncontrollably. And it's a very unhealthy kind of relationship with food. So I would say, as far as sustainability, know that a single meal is not going to get you to your goal, ever. A single day of eating perfectly fine won't get you to your goal. A single week of eating perfectly fine will not get you to your goal. So by those means, a single meal won't get you off track. A single day of eating what you don't want to eat, or maybe what you kind of feel like makes you lose track, will not get you off track unless you let it. So have meals that you want to eat, have food you want to eat. Make sure it fits your caloric allowance. If it doesn't, just the next meal, get back on track.
Right.
The next day, get back on track. Because the only time a single meal or a single day really gets you off track is when you allow whatever meals or days are afterwards to still, get you off track. Just get back on track, it'll be fine. It's not going to be the end of the world.
100%.
And even the best athletes aren't perfect. What makes you think that you're going to be perfect? It's not realistic.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's okay to indulge, once in a while, once a week, whatever it may be. But I've seen in your videos, you said having a caloric deficit of about, was it 200 to 300 a day is kind of the best way to go?
Yeah, I mean, there's no best way. I mean, the higher your deficit, as long as you're in a calorie deficit, you'll be fine if you're trying to lose weight. I mean, I would say 300 to 500, 200 to 500 is fine. People tend to have a very all or nothing approach.
Right.
I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to eat 1,200 calories. Well, the people that start to eat or start their weight loss journey by eating as little as humanly possible, eating just less than a toddler will eat. By that kind of mentality, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure, because you can't be consistent with that amount of calories. It's better to be in a very small calorie deficit, but still, if your weight maintenance is at 2,500, why would you want to eat 1,200? Yeah, it'll be faster, but you're going to go off track in a week or so. So if your maintenance is 2,500, eat 2,000, eat 2,200. There's a range, but you have to prioritize sustainability and consistency from day one, and some kind of level of enjoyment. Because if you kind of say that, oh, I'll worry about that when I lose the weight.
Right.
I'm going to survive on these calories for now and see how I do. You will not be consistent with it, So it's better to eat as much as possible while being in a calorie deficit than to try to eat as little as possible and try to kind of hope for the best.
Yeah.
It's not a very realistic approach that a lot of people take.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, is if you're eating under 1,000 calories a day, you're probably not getting the amount of nutrition you should be getting in on a daily basis as well, right?
Probably not, man. Especially your micronutrients, your fiber. Like if your fiber it's very difficult to eat a decent amount of fiber if you're eating such a little amount of food. I mean, you can't eat food, you can't eat, so you got to supplement fiber, you know, and you want to feed your body, you want to recover properly.
Yeah.
There's no need to just, I mean, toddlers eat, you know, 1,200 plus calories. Why would a fully grown human adult want to eat that,
Yeah.
little?
Yeah.
You know, put that into perspective. And people always try to chase, I want to lose 5-6 pounds this week, I want to lose 10 pounds this week. I'm telling them, well, 10 pounds a week, let's say 5 pounds a week, it's over 250 pounds in an entire year.
Yeah.
The vast majority of population doesn't have anywhere near that much to lose, but they still stay stuck in the same yo-yo cycle for decades, for 5 years, because they keep trying to lose the same 5 pounds every single week. Whereas if you were to just focus on losing 1 pound a week, half a pound a week, a half a pound a week would be over 25 pounds in a year.
Yeah.
And if you lose 25 pounds in a year, let's say it takes you 2 years to lose 50 pounds because that's how much you want to lose. Okay, 50 pounds, but you still gradually gain to your goal. Whereas if you were to try to chase to 5 pounds a week, you would be trying to lose the same 5 pounds for the next 10 years or so. You know? Gotta be put into perspective.
And realistically speaking, 1 pound of fat is about 3,500 calories, right? And so if you know, someone wanted to lose one pound of fat a week, you'd either have to cut out 3,500 calories from your diet, or you have to exercise off 3,500 calories, or you can kind of split that in half. That'd be about 500 calories a day, which means you'd either eat 500 calories less, or you would exercise 500 calories less, or you can do half, 250. And so I think that's, you know, a pretty sustainable way as well when you kind of do it with diet and exercise, not just doing one of the things as well. I wanted to ask about cardio because I noticed a lot of your videos, you said you do walking for cardio. And as a trainer, I've always been taught and I've always had this idea that cardio had to be intense. But when I watched your video and it says cardio doesn't have to be intense, I was kind of surprised. And I think a lot of people would be surprised to hear that as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about the cardio aspect of things?
Yeah. So cardio, when people think about cardio, they think that it's running, jogging, I don't know, high intensity cardio. Maybe it's going for a Lance Armstrong kind of bike ride to get their heart rate beating. That already is a very defeating kind of mindset because nobody wants to do that.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Nobody wants to do that.
You know, and personally speaking, I used to play football, not play, I mean, I used to practice for football and I played a little bit in high school. And their form of cardio for the kids that needed to get in shape was running. It was very high intensity cardio. Different kinds of drills, different kinds of jog to a run or just run around the laps. And nobody liked it. People kind of gave up. And that was my mentality from a very young age, is that cardio has to be intense. Why? I don't know. Just because people say it has to be intense. And every time I tried to do cardio before to lose weight, I tried to run, I tried to jog, I tried to ride a bike very intensely, or stationary, or a regular bike. It was never consistent for me. I did it for a day or two, I gave up. Walking never clicked to me. Riding a bike at a regular pace never clicked to me because I never considered it. But walking is not, first of all, if you walk for an hour and run for an hour, of course you will burn more calories for an hour. That's not the point. People tell me all the time, I make these videos about saying people just to go for a walk. It's extremely beneficial because it compounds dramatically over time.
Right.
Very beneficial. And comparatively, if you walk for an hour or run for an hour or jog for an hour, walking is going to burn less calories in the same amount of time, of course. That's not the point. People get dragged up on the whole calorie burning aspect of it. If you burn, let's say, 800 calories jogging for an hour versus 400 walking for an hour, okay. I mean, the numbers aren't correct, inaccurate, but what's better, to run for an hour, feel super sore the next day, feel or hate every second of it, and the most important thing is not continue doing it for the next day or the next week? Or is it better to burn less calories not hate the process, not feel like you're trying to survive the session.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to go for a brisk walk, talk to a friend. Maybe you want to go for a bike ride or is enjoy yourself, you know, but doing that consistently for months or years because you actually enjoy it. It's the whole psychological and mental aspect of it that people don't really realize how you have time for yourself to walk. You can get inside your own head and just maybe think to yourself, you know, emotionally it makes you feel better. It's not about the whole cardio burning X amount of calories. That's important, but it's about the consistency and the sustainability,
Yes.
which is not only about the calories and the diet. It's also about how do you elevate your weekly average activity level and keep that constant without worrying about the details and the calories and the not looking forward to the session that you're about to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how many people actually look forward to going for an hour run? Very few people. Some do, but most people, especially ones that are trying to lose weight, they don't look forward to an hour of straight sweat and agony.
Yeah. 100%.
You know, so walking to me is extremely underrated. It's very beneficial, even for heart health. There was a study done. I don't have it on me, but I remember seeing it. It was the average daily step count for individuals and how much it increases their lifespan. And it was like something like every 2,000 steps, it increases their lifespan by like X amount of years.
Interesting.
Just walking.
Yeah.
So if you just walk every day, it doesn't have to be 10,000 steps.
Yeah.
If you're currently doing 2,000, make that 3,000. Increase it to 4,000 later on. Just get into a rhythm and focus not on the calories burned per session, but on the consistency and sustainability factor of actually doing the walking or the bike riding if you want to.
Yeah, and I think it's important to find the things that you actually enjoy doing. You know, whether it be walking, some people enjoy boxing, some people enjoy biking. And I think personally, boxing is a really fun type of cardio to do. I don't know if you've done, boxing before, but especially if you have a trainer or a gym partner or someone you're doing this journey with, boxing is really fun because it keeps you focused, and it's not like you're going on a jog and you're just thinking of, oh, what am I going to do later? A very boring type of cardio, right? Would you say also having like a gym partner could motivate you?
Yeah, so I have a lot of words about gym partners and the whole motivation aspect of it. So can it motivate you? Absolutely, for sure. Somebody's waiting for you, but I've went through so many different gym partners. And I'm not talking any crap about them.
Right.
I'm not. They're amazing people. What I'm saying is, if you rely on that person to keep you accountable, there will be times, and it's guaranteed there will be times where your schedules don't align, your workouts don't align. Maybe somebody's super sore, somebody gets injured. Like, if your results and your consistency is based on somebody else, you're setting yourself up for failure, because there will be times when you just don't mesh together in any different ways, schedules, whatever it is. So gym partners are fine if they're there, but you should always have your own self-accountability keeping you going to the gym no matter what.
Yeah.
Maybe it's, if you don't like going to the gym, maybe do what you got to do otherwise. But you want to be self-accountable. And as far as motivation, so motivation is it's like a myth in a sense. Like especially the people, my clients as well, they think that you will be motivated to do things that you should be doing every day. The simple fact is that you will not be motivated 90% plus of the time. So what do you do during that 90 plus percent of the time that will keep you on track, since motivation is not going to be there? How do you keep yourself accountable? What are your habits that you're doing every day? What are your non-negotiables that you follow every day, no matter what? No matter how simple or small they are. If they keep you on track even a little bit, what are your non-negotiables? What do you do every day that's super simple, not complicated, not very detail-oriented, but good enough to have you retain the feeling of control? Because once you lose control, or once you lose motivation, you might lose control if you don't have your habits and your fundamental non-negotiables keeping you in a place where your control is something that is still with you, if that makes sense. So gym partners, they're awesome to keep you. They definitely like push out a few more reps. They definitely give you sometimes a better workout, but that's usually temporary.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do most of the time when they're not there?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do when motivation isn't there?
Yeah.
Because most of the time they won't be there and your motivation's not going to be there. That's a fact.
Yeah.
So what else do you do?
Yeah. You have to be your own master. You really have to master that discipline. You have to be able to do it yourself. In terms of measuring goals, and I think this is a big one for a lot of people, lose a few pounds, I step on the scale, and sometimes it doesn't look like I lost a few pounds, right? And I think that discourages a lot of people, and they don't know that they actually did make progress. What would be some form of way you would measure your goals for your clients or for yourself other than the scale?
So the scale and putting most of your emphasis on the scale leads to a lot of a self-defeating mindset in a sense, because I understand why people tend to look at the scale, because the scale relates to the mentality of, I want to lose 5 pounds this week, I want to lose 3 pounds this week. And the scale may say you lost 1 pound this week. First of all, 1 pound on the scale is just a fluctuation of body weight. It's not just your fat losing. You didn't go to the bathroom, or you went to the bathroom more often and frequently. You have more food in your system. The scale doesn't just track how much progress you made on a body composition standpoint. It's just whatever's in your body. Maybe you had a couple of pickles last night, so your body is retaining more water.
Yeah.
You had tacos last night. You were in your calories, but you had a bunch more carbs. Your body will retain some more water than usual. So the scale should be used as a single form of measuring relative progress.
Right.
Kind of see how you're doing. Are you going in the right direction over a long period of time? Hopefully you are, but if you're not, what other measures do you have to track your progress? Which is why taking photos of yourself is extremely important. Maybe you want to take a mirror photo. I don't know, take a picture of you just standing there or flexing with a timer. Doesn't make a difference. As long as, you are the only person that's going to be seeing that. So do whatever you want to. On top of that, how your clothes are fitting. If there's a shirt that was super tight last year, wash it, take the dust off, put it on, see how it feels now. That's a great way of measuring progress. But I think one of the best ones is actually, one of the best ones is just body measurements.
Yeah.
Sometimes the scale might go up 2 pounds this week, which will probably happen. For me, my weight fluctuates by 5 pounds sometimes, but maybe your waist shrinks by 1.5 inches. Your neck shrinks by 0.5 inch. Your thighs go down by 1 inch. People will tend to put those measurements of actual progress as the very last thing to focus on or appreciate, and they would put the scale as the first thing that actually dictates the progress. That's not true. There's so many factors to it. Take your measurements, take your photos, put on some clothing. But on top of that, people don't even realize your food relationship. If you used to binge eat on a regular basis, if you used to severely undereat, severely overeat, skip meals, starve yourself, look at food as good, being good, and a French fries being super bad, but now you're in a place where you just look at food as energy. You don't have those binge eating episodes. You don't have times when you skip meals because you feel so guilty. That's a huge measure of progress.
Right.
That's huge. And the scale is never going to show you that.
Yeah.
And all of this has to be taken into account. And the scale, you eat 50 more carbs, and you're going to retain some more water, whatever it is. So just know that the scale does not show you the entire picture ever.
100%. And in terms of measuring your body, would you say measuring the stomach, measuring the chest, legs, arms, what would be a good point of reference to measure?
Yeah, so as many as you can get. Usually it's the neck is one that I like to focus on, especially with more overweight individuals, because it might lead to sleep apnea.
I
So you
see.
want to see how well your if you have sleep apnea or maybe you're borderline,
Right.
how it's improving compared to the size of your neck, and see if it has a role in that. I would say waist for sure,
Mm-hmm.
shoulders, chest, biceps if you want to. Thighs are a big one. Hips, you know, calves if you want to. But the bigger areas, including the neck, to me is the most important
Right.
ones.
Yeah. Yeah. I think also taking progress pictures is very important because, well, not very important, but it can be good when you look back on those pictures and you can see where you started. And sometimes it can be very, very motivating. Okay. I wanted to ask you because obviously in your videos you have, your old picture and your now picture, and you have a really nice set of abs, right? Can you tell us whether or not because there's a lot of controversy on this topic. I think a lot of people say, yeah, abs stay in the kitchen, but no, a lot of people say, no, you should probably train your abs at the gym as well. What would you say is the best way to kind of get abs?
Yeah, I mean, abs are just like any other muscle. They'll get bigger, they'll
Mm,
get smaller. I mean, if you want to see, for example, definition in your arms, for example, the quickest way to see that would be to just drop your body fat percentage.
mm-hmm.
You can train your abs or you can train your arms for a long time, but if you're overweight, you're not going to see definition or striations in your biceps or veins, whatever it is. For myself personally, I didn't train abs until maybe half a year before that photo, and even then it was maybe like a couple times a month when I remember to.
Mm,
So I strength trained. I still do. So compound lifts, the usual, uh, which also work your core to a certain degree.
100%. Mm-hmm.
And first of all, I never even thought I would have abs. That to me was like, wow, I actually have some. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest, to me, the biggest things that helped me see them was number one is reducing my body fat percentage as low as I could to show them, and they were built on primarily compound lifts. I did have a bit of core work. My favorite one is the ab wheel. I just absolutely, it sucks in the beginning, but I absolutely love it. Um, Maybe occasional leg raises thrown in, which when I remember to, which is not all the time.
Right.
Um, but the compound lifts definitely helped me out. A lot of rowing, because rowing works your obliques to a certain degree. It's not necessary to train your abs directly, because you
Mm-hmm.
have to remember that they will be revealed in a sense by your body fat percentage. So it's just like any other muscle group. It takes time,
Yeah.
but you're always better off focusing on the nutrition as in regards to your abs showing more than actually training your core without making a priority to reduce your body fat percentage. It could be a combination of both, but I feel like it leans more towards your nutrition by far.
What would you say would be, because around 9% is where 9% body fat is where your abs usually start showing. Do you know what body fat you're currently sitting at?
No idea.
No
I don't
idea.
even pay attention to body fat percentage. I
Mm.
don't track it. There's a lot of inaccuracies for like the bioimpedance, I think it's called, machines,
Yeah.
the calipers. I know that I believe that the most accurate ones is like a bod pod, or maybe when they suspend you in water, I believe.
Yeah. Seen those.
I've never done it. I'm curious to try it. I don't think about my body fat percentage. I don't know what it is, honestly. You know, I would love to find out, but I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. I mean, I guess a lot of times it doesn't really matter. If you look good, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more, or tell the audience a little bit more about your gym routine?
Yeah. So for the longest time, maybe before a year and a half, 2 years ago, I used to power lift with an emphasis on building muscle. So the big four with the overhead press.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like I just love bodybuilding exercises and splits. So
Right.
right now I stopped doing deadlifts because deadlifts beat me up. To me, I like doing Romanian deadlifts instead. It's easier for me. It's more fun. The risk, in my own opinion, the risk to reward ratio with regular deadlifts is not the best, because there's better ways to train your whole entire posterior chain than deadlifts. And I used to love deadlifts, as well as a barbell bench press isn't the best way to build your chest, you know. And I mean, I bench press barbell sometimes, but right now my routine is pretty much legs. Then I do chest and biceps. I know it's very, crazy. I do back and triceps, and I do a shoulder day to itself. And I sprinkle in a bit of core once in a while, and I pretty much repeat it. So it's not really on a weekly basis. It's on a get your 4 done. Maybe do like a push day. I mean, rarely. Just have those 4 done. Maybe a bicep and core day, and repeat it. So if it happens to be Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday's off, repeat on Sunday. It keeps going progressively. Now, there's no real set days to it, but there are set exercises.
Do you usually change up the amount of sets you do and the amount of reps you do, or is it usually like a hypertrophy type thing or strength training type thing?
I try to use progressive overload as much as I can. I'm always trying to increase something. I mean, first of all, I truly believe that people love to change up exercises. I got a muscle confusion. I got to try this exercise because now I'm sore. I must be doing something. Soreness is not an indicator of growth. People should really try to do an exercise for at least 12 weeks consistently to see growth in that particular muscle or exercise that it's targeting, and the muscle the exercise is targeting. So as far as me changing things up or increasing things, I try to increase either the weight I'm using or the reps, or keep those two the same and include an additional set. Or I reduce the rest periods between every set. So I use that as progressive overload. Of course, the volume, I do 10,000 pounds of volume. Now I want to do 11,000 pounds of volume for any kind of exercise. So if I can increase any of those variables the next time I go work out, that's a success to me. So keep it boring, keep it simple, but people don't want to do the boring stuff. They think they gotta overcomplicate things all the time, and it's just simply not true. Do the same things. If you want to grow muscle, you will likely be doing the same or similar exercises for the rest of your life. So you might as well get stronger in them, or do something that's very similar that hits a similar kind of muscle group, but it's going to be similar kinds of things.
Right. And I was wondering, because muscle recovery is so important. And obviously having protein in your diet for weight loss, building muscle, also very important. And I think there is a lot of people having different numbers for this topic, which is how many grams of protein should I have on a daily basis? Because a lot of times it's 1 gram, it's 1.2 grams. But hey, what if I was 300 pounds in weight? Am I supposed to be eating 300 grams of protein?
Yeah.
What do I do here?
Yeah, so as far as the protein intake, it should be based off your projected goal weight or off of your lean body mass. So if I was 365 like I was back in the day, it would be stupid to try to eat close to 400 grams of protein. So higher protein is definitely better because it keeps you satiated for longer. But as far as a general kind of like rule of thumb, I would say use anywhere from like 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of either lean body weight or goal body weight. Now, if you're an obese or overweight individual, you should not be basing your protein intake based off of your current body weight. That'd be just way too much protein. So project what your ideal kind of body weight would be. Use like 0.8 to 1 gram, and that's good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. Even if you find the absolute perfect number, whatever that is for you, you're guaranteed to not hit that perfect number every single day. There should be a range, like a 10-20% range. And if you're 80% good enough over a long period of time, you will be successful in whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Yeah, and since we're on the topic of macronutrients, a lot of people cut carbs. when they're trying to lose weight. What's your opinion on cutting carbs? Should you cut it to a certain degree? Should you cut it completely, like the keto diet, or maybe not have too much worries about it?
Yeah, so carbs should be limited and looked at. So carbs are just the easiest thing to eat. They're fun, they're delicious, they're quick and easy to take almost no time to cook or prepare most of the time, cookies, ice cream, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So carbs should be limited and understood that they're usually the reason why people go over their calories.
Mm.
So what I tell my clients is, and other people is that try to get your carbs from mostly fruits and vegetables because you got to fill yourself up on as much food as possible, you know.
Mm.
And if you're trying to fill up on cookies, you're going to eat a whole bunch of them, which will push you over your calories. But for somebody who's first just starting their weight loss journey now, I would suggest to think to yourself, how many carbs do you eat from stuff that isn't beneficial for your weight loss? How many times a day or a week do you eat the cookies, the ice cream, candy? Maybe it's like French fries all the time. You know, not that it's bad, it's just because it's very easy to go over your calories by eating those foods,
Mm-hmm.
simply put. You know,
Yep.
so it should be looked at and just reduced but not eliminated.
Reduce and not eliminate. And I think with sugar and ketchup and sauces, things like that, they're very high in empty calories. So, I think same thing, right? You can still indulge in them a little bit, but just not too much. What do you think about volume eating?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I actually had a coaching call with my clients yesterday, and my topic was volume eating. It's funny you said that because
Nice.
to me, volume eating is should be a fundamental mindset and idea about weight loss because nobody's going to count calories for the rest of your lives. It's not going to happen ever. But if you understand the whole concept behind eating for volume with relevance to lower calories, that's something that you can do for the rest of your life because
Mm-hmm.
it's very simple. So volume eating is essentially how do I just fill myself up with as much volume of food as possible for the least amount of calories.
Mm-hmm.
That just usually means that if you're looking at liquid calories, sugary drinks, full sugar soda, there's tons of calories in there, but it's not going to fill you up probably at all. Maybe very, very minimally. Tons of oils, full fat or full sugar dressings. You're going to add a whole bunch of that to your meal, increase the meal's calorie intake by a few hundred, and you're not going to be any more full by adding those 200 calories than you would have if you were to have a lower calorie option and use those 200 calories for more actual food.
Mm-hmm.
So volume eating is extremely, extremely important. And I think that because not a lot of people like counting calories, and I understand that, it's fine. It's frustrating for a lot of people, but if you adopt the concept of eating for volume while picking lower calorie options for foods, you will just be successful because calories are important. You don't have to count them.
I like that a lot because most people, or at least from my experience with my clients, they'll count calories for a few days and then they stop because it's just too much work. Yeah. Is there, we just hit the 50-minute mark. Is there any, last words, tips, tricks you kind of want to tell the audience?
Yeah. So if there's anybody who's like starting their weight loss journey or just trying to get into like a better shape, right, and to just be healthier overall, I would say that if you're trying to be perfect, don't. Like nobody's perfect. Just if there's one thing that you should focus on is pick a few things that are generally better for you and be as consistent as possible with doing the few simple things. Try to focus on being 80% good enough, but consistently. If you're 80% good enough, that's good enough to reach your goal over an extended period of time. If you're trying to be perfect, chances are you're going to fall off track after 3 days, 2 weeks, a week, whatever it is. So you want to set yourself up to be as successful as possible by focusing on just consistency and being 80% good enough. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. There is so much value and so much information packed in today's podcast, which I'm very happy about because I think we're going to be able to help a lot of people with today's podcast. So if you guys want to lose weight with sustainability, you guys want to achieve your dream physique, have a good body transformation, make sure you guys are following Alex Solomin on Instagram. I'll put hit the link to his Instagram in the description box. But thank you so much, Alex, for coming on the show today. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. But yeah, that will be the end of the podcast. We'll wrap it up here. Do you have any questions for me before we end the thing?
No, I just appreciate you having me on the podcast. And it was a great opportunity to show other people, explain a bit about what I do and just provide some value.
All right, gym bros and gym girls. That wraps up episode 5 of Gym Bro Talks. Thanks for joining me yet again for another episode. Today's episode was packed with information, so I hope you were able to take something away and be able to use it in your own life, in your own transformation journey. Again, guys, comment which fitness influencer you want on the show next and what questions I should ask them. This is James from Gym Bro Talks. I will see you in the next episode.